Today we're going to look at simplifying rational expressions. Rational is a fancy way of just saying fraction. Expression is just a problem without an equal sign. So we just need to make these fractions smaller. We need to figure out what's up top, what's on bottom, what can cancel out with each other. So I like to look at this first problem in three different ways, or three different parts rather. I want to look at the numbers first. So 28 and 16, I want to simplify just that fraction. Well, let's just start by cutting it in half. What's half of 28? Well, I know it's got to be 14. Half of 16 is 8. I can still break that fraction down even further. Let's knock that down in half. So you're going to get 7 over 4. Now, does 7 and 4 share anything? No. So we just leave it as 7 over 4. Okay. Couldn't you have done that just in one step? Yeah, I guess I could have said 4 goes into 28, 4 goes into 16, divided both by 4. You would have been here. I like just knocking things down by twos, cutting them in half. A couple more steps, but I feel like it's easier numbers for me. So we did that, we did that. Let's take a look at your x's. Where do you have more? I've got one x up top, I have two x's on the bottom. I have more on the bottom. How many extra? I have one extra. That's where your answer is going to go, x to the first. And do you need that exponent of 1? No, but you could leave it there. It's no big deal. X's we used. Your y's, where do you have more? Well, there's 3 up top, 1 on the bottom. There's more up top. How many extra do you have? I've got 2 extra. That's where your y's end up going. So just kind of like, this is basically like all of your exponent rules. You kind of already did that. Now, can I use this process and come over here and do this? Well, yeah, it still kind of works. Let's look at your x's. Well, no, let's break down this problem first. So up top, 3 times x, okay, multiplication. 10 times x to the fourth, multiplication. That exponent says x times x times x times x, multiplication. Between them is multiplication. Everywhere up top is multiplication. So I really don't even need these parentheses. I'm just going to actually ignore them. Let's get rid of them. We don't need them. So there's still multiplication everywhere you see. So now, let's talk about x's. Let's kind of jump out of order. I have 1x, I have 4x's for a total of 5 up top. I have a total of 5 on the bottom. Guess what? They all just cancel out with each other. Now, I'm going to look at this next part in a different way than we're used to. So it says 3 times 10 over 6. I could multiply 3 and 10 together, yes. But I don't want to. Instead, I'm going to simplify some things. I'm only going to look at the fraction, say, let's look at 3 over 6. So let's ignore that 10. That's the fraction 1/2. Couldn't I divide this 3 by 1, or divide it by 3, get a 1, divide that by 3, and I get 2? Yeah. So now that 3 is gone, and that 6 is now here. So now I want to simplify 10 and 2. Well, 10 and 2, they both share that number 2. 2 goes in there one whole time. 2 goes in here 5 times. Now let's simplify that. 1 times 5 gives me 5. And I'm left with just a 1 on the bottom or just 5. Isn't there an easier way of doing that? Sure. What's 3 times 10? 30. 30 divided by 6? Still 5. So it's another way of looking at the same process. And the only reason why I did it this way was because sometimes we see numbers that aren't as easy to handle. And maybe we could just cancel things out as we go. Last one here. Let's look at the variables first. Remember, we've got multiplication going on all over the place up top. So that means I have 2 here, 3 here for a total of 5 x's up top, total of 4 on the bottom. My final answer has to have 1x up top. All right, let's take a look at your numbers now. Let's go to 7 and 21. I know those two numbers relate together pretty well. So 7 goes into 7 one whole time. 7 goes into 21 3 times. Okay, Let's look at 6 and 3 now. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 two times. I know it's starting to get a little messy now, but that's okay. Let's multiply together everything that we have left. 1 times a -2, giving us -2. On the bottom, you have a 1. We don't need to show that. So you know what? There it is. -2x is your final answer for this. Couldn't we have done this another way? Sure, you could have said 7 times 6 to give you -42. Divide that by 21, still get that -2 there. Two different ways of looking at the same thing, but when we get into more complicated versions, sometimes it's easier to go piece by piece, and that is simplifying rational expressions.